I still remember the exact moment I realized my mother didn't love me the way I thought she did. It wasn't dramatic. There were no raised voices that day, no slammed doors, just me sitting in a small gray room at the police station, staring at a piece of paper with my signature on it, a signature I didn't remember writing. My hands were shaking so badly I had to sit on them. The officer across from me kept asking the same question over and over. "Miss Carter, did you or did you not withdraw $8,000 from your grandmother's account?" I told him no. I told him I would never, but he just tapped the paper again, and there it was. My name, my signature, my grandmother's money, gone. They let me go that night. No charges yet, they said, just questions. I drove home in silence, gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. I didn't cry. I think I was too shocked to cry. All I could think about was my grandmother's face when she found out. She was 91. She trusted me. She loved me. And someone had made it look like I stole from her. I didn't know yet that the someone was my own mother. I didn't know that she had spent months carefully planning it, that she had practiced my signature, that she had looked me in the eye every Sunday at family dinner, smiling while she built a trap around me. But I would find out, and when I did, it would break something inside me I didn't know could be broken. My name is Rebecca Carter, and for most of my 32 years, I believed I had a normal family. Not perfect, never perfect, but normal enough. My father left when I was 7, and after that, it was just me, my mother, Linda, and my grandmother, Rose. 3 generations of women living in the same small town in Ohio, tied together by Sunday dinners and shared history, and all those unspoken rules that families have. My grandmother Rose was the center of everything. She was the kind of woman who kept butterscotch candies in her purse and remembered everyone's birthday without writing them down. Her house smelled like lavender and old books. She had this laugh that made you feel warm inside, like everything was going to be okay no matter what. I was close to her, closer than I was to my own mother, if I'm being honest. Grandma Rose raised me as much as my mother did. When Mom had to work double shifts at the hospital, she was a nurse, I stayed with Grandma. We would bake cookies together, or she would read to me, or we would just sit on her porch watching the birds. She never made me feel like I was a burden. She made me feel loved. My mother was different. Linda was efficient, practical. She loved me, I think, but in a distant sort of way. Like I was a responsibility she took seriously but didn't necessarily enjoy. She worked hard. She paid the bills. She made sure I had what I needed. But there was always this coldness between us, this gap I could never quite cross. I spent years trying to be the daughter she wanted. I got good grades. I didn't get into trouble. I went to nursing school like she did, even though I wasn't sure it was what I wanted. I thought maybe if I followed in her footsteps, she would see me, really see me. But she never did. After nursing school, I got a job at the same hospital where my mother worked. Different department, but same building. I thought it would bring us closer. Instead, it just made the distance more obvious. We would pass each other in the hallways and exchange polite smiles, like colleagues, not family. Grandma Rose was the one who celebrated my first day. She bought me a little stethoscope charm from my bracelet and told me how proud she was. My mother just said, "Good, now you can start paying off those loans." I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself that some people just weren't good at showing affection. I made excuses for her for years. When I was 28, I bought my own small apartment across town. It wasn't much, just a 1-bedroom on the 2nd floor of an old building, but it was mine. I was so proud of it. I invited my mother and grandmother over for dinner the night I moved in. Grandma Rose brought flowers and a homemade pie. She walked through every room saying how wonderful it was, how grown up I had become. My mother stood in the doorway with her arms crossed and said, "You're going to struggle with rent on a nurse's salary." That was it. That was her response. I smiled and said I would be fine. Grandma Rose squeezed my hand under the table. The years went by like that. Me, living my quiet life, working at the hospital, visiting Grandma Rose every Sunday, seeing my mother at family dinners, exchanging small talk, never going deeper. I dated a little, but nothing serious. I had a few good friends from work. I volunteered at the animal shelter on weekends. I was content. Not happy exactly, but not unhappy either. I had learned to live with the shape of my life. Then, 3 years ago, Grandma Rose's health started to decline. It was small things at first. She forgot names. She left the stove on once. She got confused about what day it was. The doctor said it was early dementia and it would only get worse. She needed help. She couldn't live alone anymore. My mother and I had a rare, serious conversation about what to do. We sat in Grandma's kitchen, she was napping upstairs, and talked through the options. A care facility, in-home care, one of us moving in with her. "I can't do it," my mother said flatly. "I work 12-hour shifts. I don't have the time." "I could adjust my schedule," I offered. "I could check on her every day, maybe move some of her appointments around." My mother shook her head. "She needs more than that, Rebecca. She needs someone watching her full time." We looked into care facilities, but the good ones were expensive. Grandma Rose had savings. She had been careful with money her whole life, but not enough for years of full-time memory care. "We'll figure it out," I said. "We'll make it work." And we did, sort of. We hired a part-time caregiver to come in during the day. I stopped by every morning before work and every evening after. My mother visited once a week, usually on Sundays. Grandma Rose seemed okay with the arrangement. On her good days, she was still herself. On her bad days, she didn't really know where she was. It broke my heart, watching her fade. But I was grateful I could be there for her. She had been there for me my whole life. It was the least I could do. That's when my mother suggested I help Grandma Rose with her finances. We were sitting in the hospital cafeteria on our lunch break. My mother brought it up casually, like it was no big deal. "Mom's forgetting to pay bills," she said, stirring her coffee. "I found 3 overdue notices last week. I think someone should take over her accounts, make sure everything gets paid on time." "That makes sense," I said. "Do you want to do it or should I?" "You're better with details," my mother said. "And you see her more often. It would be easier for you." I didn't think twice about it. It seemed logical. I was already helping Grandma with so much. Why not this too? So I became a joint account holder on Grandma Rose's checking and savings accounts. I paid her bills. I kept track of her expenses. I made sure her caregiver got paid, that her prescriptions were filled, that the utilities stayed on. My mother helped sometimes. She had access to the accounts too. Grandma had added her years ago, back when she first started getting forgetful. But Mom was busy, and I didn't mind handling it. It felt good, actually. Like I was protecting Grandma. Like I was doing something that mattered. I never imagined that trust would be turned into a weapon against me. For 2 years, everything was fine, routine. I paid the bills, checked the balances, kept everything organized. Grandma Rose's money slowly went down. Care and medical expenses aren't cheap, but it was all accounted for, all legitimate. Then 6 months ago, I got a call from the bank. A man with a polite, clipped voice told me there had been some unusual activity on my grandmother's account, large withdrawals. He wanted to verify that everything was authorized. I felt a little flutter of panic, but I told him I would look into it. I pulled up the account online that night, sitting at my kitchen table with a cup of tea going cold beside me. There they were. 3 withdrawals over the course of 2 months. $2,000, $3,000, $3,000 again. $8,000 total. I didn't make those withdrawals. I knew I didn't. I checked my records. Every payment I made was documented, and none of them matched these amounts. My first thought was fraud. Someone had stolen Grandma's information. It happened to elderly people all the time. I called the bank back the next morning, ready to report it. That's when they told me the withdrawals had been made in person, at the branch, with paperwork, with a signature. My signature. And that's when the police got involved. The first time I sat in that police station, I thought it was all just a misunderstanding. I really believed that. I sat across from Detective Morrison, a middle-aged man with tired eyes and a coffee stain on his tie, and I explained everything, calmly. There had been a mistake. I didn't make those withdrawals. Someone had forged my signature. Maybe identity theft. Maybe someone at the bank. I wasn't sure, but I knew it wasn't Lee. He listened. He took notes. He nodded in all the right places. Then he slid a piece of paper across the desk. "Is this your signature, Miss Carter?" I looked at it. It was a withdrawal slip from the bank, $3,000. And there, at the bottom, was my name in handwriting that looked exactly like mine. My stomach dropped. I don't know, I said. "It looks like my signature, but I didn't write it. I've never written it." "Never been to that branch location?" "No, yes, I've been there, but not on that date. I was at work. I can show you my schedule." He wrote something down. "We'll need to verify that." "Of course, whatever you need." He pulled out 2 more withdrawal slips. Same thing, same handwriting, same signature. These were made over 8 weeks, 3 separate occasions. Security footage shows a woman matching your description, brown hair about your height, wearing sunglasses and a jacket. I felt cold all over. "It wasn't me." "Do you live alone?" "Yes." "Does anyone else have access to your identification, your documents?" "No, I don't think so." "What about family members?" I hesitated. "My mother has a key to my apartment for emergencies, but she wouldn't." I stopped myself. The idea seemed ridiculous. My mother and I weren't close, but she wouldn't steal from her own mother, from my grandmother. That was insane. Detective Morrison watched me carefully. "Wouldn't what?" "Nothing," I said quietly. "She wouldn't do anything like this." He didn't push it, just made another note. They let me go that day, but I could tell he didn't believe me. I could see it in his eyes. To him, I was just another caregiver who'd gotten greedy. He'd probably seen it 100 times. Someone with access to an elderly person's money, someone who thought they could skim a little off the top. I drove home shaking. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept going over everything in my mind. The withdrawals, the signature, the security footage. None of it made sense. I got up at 2 a.m. and went through every document I owned. My passport, my driver's license, old checks, bank statements. Everything was where it should be. Nothing was missing. But someone had my signature. Someone had practiced it well enough to fool a bank. The next day, I called my mother. She answered on the 3rd ring. "Rebecca, it's 7 a.m. "I know. I'm sorry. I need to talk to you." There was a pause. "About what?" "About Grandma's account. There's been some withdrawals that I didn't make." Silence. "Mom?" "What kind of withdrawals?" $8,000 over 2 months. The bank says I made them, but I didn't. I think someone forged my signature." Another pause. "That's serious." "I know it's serious. The police are involved. They think I did it." "Did you?" "What? No, Mom. How can you even ask me that?" "I'm just asking, Rebecca. People do strange things when they're under financial pressure." "I'm not under financial pressure, and I would never steal from Grandma." "I'm not saying you would." But her tone said otherwise. I closed my eyes, trying to stay calm. Have you noticed anything strange? Anyone asking about Grandma's accounts? Anything unusual? No, nothing. Okay. I didn't know what else to say. Okay. I just wanted to let you know. Keep me updated. And she hung up. I stared at my phone for a long time after that. Something about the conversation felt wrong, off, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Over the next few weeks, things got worse. The bank froze Grandma Rose's accounts pending the investigation. I had to use my own money to pay her caregiver and her bills. My savings started draining fast. I picked up extra shifts at the hospital, working doubles, barely sleeping. My mother didn't offer to help. "You're the account manager," she said when I asked. "You have to sort this out." Detective Morrison called me in twice more, asked the same questions in different ways. Wanted to know about my debts, my expenses, my lifestyle. I gave him everything. Bank statements, work schedules, receipts. I had nothing to hide. But I could tell he still didn't believe me. The worst part was visiting Grandma Rose. She was having more bad days than good ones by then. Most of the time, she didn't really understand what was happening. But occasionally, she'd have a moment of clarity and she'd look at me with those sharp blue eyes and ask about her money. "Where did it go, Rebecca?" "I don't know, Grandma. I'm trying to find out. But you're taking care of it, aren't you? You're watching it for me." "Yes, I'm watching it." "Good." She'd pat my hand. "I trust you, sweetheart. You're the only one I trust." Those words broke me every single time. I started having panic attacks. Little ones at first, just moments where I couldn't breathe, where the walls felt too close. Then bigger ones. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, heart racing, convinced I was going to jail for something I didn't do. I told my friend Sarah about it. She was another nurse at the hospital, one of the few people I really trusted. We were sitting in the break room and I just fell apart. I told her everything. The withdrawals, the police, the way my mother had asked if I did it. Sarah listened, then said quietly, "Rebecca, who else has access to your grandmother's accounts?" "Just me and my mom." "And who else has a key to your apartment?" I stared at her. "You think my mother did this?" "I'm not saying that. I'm just asking you to think about it logically. Who had opportunity? Who had access?" "But why would she? It doesn't make sense." Sarah shrugged. "Money makes people do strange things." I shook my head. "My mother doesn't need money. She has a good job. She owns her house outright. She's fine." "Are you sure?" I wanted to say yes, but the truth was, I didn't know. My mother and I didn't talk about personal things. We never had. That night, I did something I'm not proud of. I drove to my mother's house. She wasn't home. Her car was gone. I used the key she'd given me years ago, the one for emergencies, and I let myself in. The house was exactly as I remembered it. Clean, organized, everything in its place. I walked through the rooms feeling like a criminal, my heart pounding. I didn't know what I was looking for. Evidence? Proof? Some sign that Sarah was wrong and my mother was innocent. I checked her office first. Her desk was neat. Bills stacked in one corner, all marked paid. I went through them quickly, feeling sick to my stomach. Everything looked normal. Mortgage paid off like I thought, utilities current, credit card statement with a low balance. Nothing suspicious. I was about to leave when I saw her filing cabinet. It was unlocked. I opened the top drawer. Inside were folders, tax returns, insurance documents, medical records, and then at the back, a folder labeled Rose Financial. My hands shook as I pulled it out. Inside were bank statements for Grandma's accounts, printouts going back 6 months. I flipped through them, scanning the dates. The withdrawals were highlighted, all 3 of them, in yellow. Why would my mother highlight them? I kept looking. Behind the bank statements was a piece of paper, practice writing, lines and lines of signatures. My signature, over and over again. Slightly different each time, like someone learning how to copy it, getting better with each line. I stopped breathing. At the bottom of the page, in my mother's handwriting, were notes. Branch on 5th Street, mid-morning, sunglasses, keep head down. The folder slipped from my hands. I stood there in my mother's office, staring at that piece of paper on the floor, and my entire world tilted. My mother had done this. My own mother had forged my signature, had withdrawn money from her own mother's account, and framed me for it. But why? I heard a car door slam outside. Panic flooded through me. I grabbed the paper, shoved everything back in the folder, threw it in the filing cabinet, and ran. I barely made it out the back door before I heard the front door open. I sat in my car 3 blocks away, shaking so hard I couldn't drive. The piece of paper with the practice signatures was on the passenger seat. Evidence. Proof. But proof of what exactly? That my mother was a thief? A liar? That she hated me enough to destroy my life? I didn't understand. I couldn't make it make sense. I needed to confront her, but I also needed to be smart about it. If she had done this, if she had really framed me, then she was dangerous. Not physically, maybe, but dangerous in other ways. I needed help. I called Sarah, told her what I'd found. She told me to go to the police immediately, but I didn't. Not yet. Because there was something else I needed to do first. I needed to look my mother in the eye and ask her why. I called her that night. Mom, can we meet tomorrow? I need to talk to you about something important. I'm busy tomorrow. It's about Grandma's money. Please? A pause. Fine. Come by the house at 6. I'd rather meet somewhere neutral. How about the coffee shop on Main? Another pause. Longer this time. All right, 6 o'clock. She knew it. I could hear it in her voice. She knew I'd found something. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat at my kitchen table staring at that piece of paper with my forged signature, trying to understand how the woman who raised me could do this, and wondering what she would say when I confronted her. The next day felt like it lasted forever. I went through my shift at the hospital in a daze. Sarah kept checking on me, asking if I was okay. I wasn't, but I told her I was. At 5:30, I drove to the coffee shop. Got there early, ordered tea I didn't drink, sat by the window and watched the parking. My mother's car pulled in at exactly 6 o'clock. She walked in, saw me, and came over. Her face was blank, unreadable. She sat down across from me. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then I reached into my bag, pulled out the paper, and laid it on the table between us. Explain this, I said quietly. My mother looked down at the paper, at her own handwriting, at the practice signatures. Then she looked up at me, and she smiled. That smile was the most terrifying thing I'd ever seen. It wasn't cruel exactly. It wasn't mocking. It was just calm, like she'd been expecting this moment, like she'd already planned what would happen next. Where did you get that? She asked. Her voice was steady. From your filing cabinet. You broke into my house. I used the key you gave me, the same way you used the key I gave you. Her expression didn't change. She folded her hands on the table, looked at the paper one more time, then looked back at me. You shouldn't have gone through my things, Rebecca. I almost laughed. It came out as a strange, choked sound. That's what you're worried about? That I went through your things? It's a violation of privacy. You framed me for grand theft. You forged my signature. You stole from your own mother and made it look like I did it. My voice was rising. People at other tables were starting to glance over. I forced myself to speak more quietly. You're talking about privacy? My mother was silent for a moment. Then she reached across the table and slid the paper back toward me. You can't prove anything with that, she said calmly. It's your handwriting. Your notes. It says exactly what you did. It's practice writing. Anyone could have written it. And even if I did write it, it doesn't prove I went to the bank. It doesn't prove I made the withdrawals. I stared at her. She had thought this through. Every step of it. The security footage shows a woman who looks like you. Your height, your build, wearing sunglasses, so no clear face. She leaned back in her chair. I was very careful, Rebecca. The words hit me like ice water. She was admitting it, fully admitting it. Why? I whispered. Why would you do this to me? For the first time, something flickered in her eyes. Not guilt, not remorse, something harder. Because you don't deserve that money. I blinked. What? You heard me. You don't deserve it. You haven't earned it. I never asked for grandmother's money. I never wanted. But you'll get it, won't you? Her voice was still calm, but there was an edge to it now. When she dies, when Mom finally dies, everything goes to you. The house, the savings, all of it. You're the golden child, the favorite, the one she actually loves. I couldn't breathe. That's not true. Of course it's true. It's always been true. My mother's hands tightened on the table. Do you know how many years I spent taking care of her? After Dad died, I was the one who checked on her every day. I was the one who made sure she was okay. I gave up opportunities, Rebecca. I turned down job offers in other cities because I couldn't leave her alone. I built my entire life around being a good daughter. You never told me. And what did I get for it? Criticism, judgment. She was never proud of me, never thought I was good enough. Then you came along, and suddenly everything I did was wrong. The way I raised you, the way I worked, the way I lived my life, nothing was ever right. Grandma loves you. She tolerates me. My mother's voice was flat. She loves you. There's a difference. I sat there, stunned. I'd known my mother and grandmother had a complicated relationship, but I'd never understood how deep it went. For what it's worth, she said, I did love you. When you were little, before you became hers instead of mine. Then she walked out. I sat there for a long time after she left. My tea had gone cold. The light outside was fading. I felt hollowed out, like something essential had been carved away. Eventually, I called Sarah. She admitted it, I said when she answered. Everything. She did it on purpose, to hurt me. Oh, Rebecca. Sarah's voice was soft. Where are you? Coffee shop on Main. Stay there. I'm coming. She showed up 20 minutes later, slid into the seat across from me, and just held my hand while I told her everything. The confrontation, the confession, the years of resentment I'd never known existed. You have to go to the police tonight, Sarah said firmly, right now, before she has time to destroy any other evidence. She said it won't matter, that it's her word against mine. Maybe, but you have that paper. And if the police look closely at the security footage, if they compare both of you, they might be able to tell the difference. You have to try. I knew she was right, but I was so tired, so completely exhausted. What about Grandma? I asked quietly. If Mom gets arrested, if this becomes public, it'll destroy her. She's already so confused, so fragile. This might... I couldn't finish the sentence. Sarah squeezed my hand. I know, but you can't protect everyone, Rebecca. You can't set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. I'd heard that saying before, but it hit differently now. Okay, I said finally. Okay, I'll go. We drove to the police station together. Sarah waited in the lobby while I asked to speak to Detective Morrison. He came out 20 minutes later, looking annoyed at being called in during his evening. "Ms. Carter, what can I do for you? I know who made the withdrawals, and I have proof." His expression changed. "Come with me." We went back to that same gray room where I'd sat the first time. I laid everything out: the practice signatures, my mother's notes, the timeline of my discovery, the confrontation at the coffee shop. He listened without interrupting, took the paper, examined it carefully. "This is in your mother's handwriting?" he asked. "Yes." "And you obtained it from her home?" "Yes. I used my key. She has a key to my apartment too. That's how she got access to my documents, to my signature." He made notes. "Did she confess to you to making the withdrawals?" "Yes. At the coffee shop tonight. She admitted everything." "Any witnesses to this conversation?" My heart sank. "No. It was just the two of us." He nodded slowly, kept writing. "What happens now?" I asked. "I'll need to bring your mother in for questioning. We'll analyze this document, compare the handwriting on the withdrawal slips to both your samples and hers, review the security footage more carefully." He looked up at me. "This helps, Miss Carter. It doesn't prove anything definitively, but it gives us a direction to investigate. Will I still be charged? That depends on what we find. For now, you're still a person of interest. So is your mother." It wasn't the answer I wanted, but it was something. I left the station around 9 o'clock. Sarah was still waiting. "How'd it go?" "They're going to investigate. That's all they'd tell me." "That's good. That's progress." We sat in her car in the parking lot. I stared out at the dark street, at the traffic lights changing colors, and tried to process everything that had happened. I don't understand how someone can hate their own child this much. What did I do to her, Sarah? What did I do? Nothing. You did nothing. Sarah's voice was firm. "This isn't about you, Rebecca. It's about her. Her jealousy. Her issues with your grandmother. You were just caught in the middle." She said Grandma never loved her, never trusted her. Maybe that's true. Maybe your grandma wasn't perfect either. But that still doesn't justify what your mother did. Hurt people. But that doesn't make it okay. I knew she was right. But knowing didn't make it hurtless. That night, I went home to my apartment and lay in bed staring at the ceiling. I kept thinking about what my mother had said, about being the favorite, about taking her place. Had I done that? Had I somehow stolen my grandmother's love without realizing it? Or had my mother's resentment blinded her to the love that was there all along? I didn't know. I might never know. Around midnight, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Hello? Rebecca." It was my mother's voice. Cold, hard. "The police just left." I sat up. "What did you tell them?" "The truth, that you're lying, that you're trying to frame me because you got caught stealing from your own grandmother, that you've been under financial stress and you saw an opportunity." "That's not..." I also told them about your key to my house, how you broke in and went through my private files. They're very interested in that. Breaking and entering, theft of documents. It doesn't look good for you, Rebecca. My hands were shaking. I took one paper, evidence of what you did. You took private property without permission. That's theft. She paused. I'm going to make you a deal. What kind of deal? Drop this. Tell the police you made a mistake, that you were stressed and confused and you misunderstood what you saw. Apologize for wasting their time. Do that, and I'll tell them I don't want to press charges for the withdrawals. Family matter. sorted privately. We both walk away. And if I don't, then we both go down. I'll deny everything. I'll make sure every piece of evidence points to you. And even if they can't prove you did it beyond reasonable doubt, the suspicion will follow you forever. Your nursing license will be questioned, your reputation destroyed. Is that what you want? I closed my eyes. Why are you doing this? Because I can. Because for once in my life, I have the power, and you don't. Think about my offer, Rebecca. You have 24 hours. She hung up. I sat there in the dark, the phone still in my hand, and realized I had a choice to make. Fight back and risk losing everything, or let her win and lose myself. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed watching the shadows move across my ceiling, playing my mother's words over and over in my mind. 24 hours, a choice. My freedom and reputation, or the truth. Part of me wanted to take her deal. The tired, scared part of me that just wanted this nightmare to end. I could tell the police I'd made a mistake. I could apologize. We could both walk away, and I could try to rebuild my life. But then what? I'd still know what she'd done. I'd still carry that knowledge every single day. And she would have won. She would have gotten away with it, and I would have helped her do it. I thought about my grandmother, about her looking at me with those clear blue eyes saying, "I trust you, sweetheart. You're the only one I trust." If I took my mother's deal, I'd be betraying that trust. Even if Grandma never knew, even if she was too far gone to understand, I would know. And I'd have to live with that. Around 5 a.m, I got out of bed. I made coffee, I sat at my kitchen table and wrote down everything I could remember from the confrontation with my mother. Every word she'd said, every admission, every threat. Then I called Detective Morrison and left a voicemail. "This is Rebecca Carter. My mother called me last night and tried to get me to drop the investigation. She admitted again that she could have done it, but threatened me if I didn't back down. I'm not backing down. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to prove the truth. Please call me back." After I sent it, I felt lighter. Not happy, but clear. Like I'd finally stopped running from something I should have faced a long time ago. Sarah called me around 7. "How are you holding up?" "I'm okay," I said, and I meant it. "My mother tried to make a deal last night." I said no. "Good." I could hear the relief in Sarah's voice. "That's good, Rebecca. You're doing the right thing." "I hope so." "You are. I promise." Detective Morrison called me back around 9. He wanted me to come in and make a formal statement about my mother's phone call. I went straight from my apartment to the station, still in my jeans and an old sweater. This time, the conversation was different. He listened more carefully, asked more questions, took detailed notes about everything my mother had said, both at the coffee shop and on the phone. "We're going to need you to be patient," he said. "These cases take time. Handwriting analysis, footage review, documentation verification, but we're taking this seriously now." "Thank you," I said quietly. "One more thing." He looked at me directly. "We spoke to your employer. Your supervisor confirmed you were at work during all 3 withdrawal times. You clocked in, you were on the floor, multiple witnesses. That clears you from a physical standpoint." Something in my chest loosened. "So I'm not a suspect anymore?" "I wouldn't say that officially, not yet, but you're looking much less likely." He paused. "Your mother, on the other hand, works variable shifts. She had the days in question off, all 3 of them." I closed my eyes. So she could have done it. It's possible. We're looking into it. I left the station feeling strange, not quite hopeful, but not quite hopeless either, somewhere in between. That afternoon, I went to visit Grandma Rose. I hadn't been there in a few days. I'd been so caught up in everything with the police and my mother that I'd let my visit slip. Guilt ate at me as I pulled up to her small house. The caregiver, Maria, let me in with a warm smile. She's having a good day today, very alert. She's been asking for you. I found Grandma in her favorite chair by the window, a blanket over her lap, looking out at the bird feeder in the yard. "Hi, Grandma," I said softly. She turned and her face lit up. "Rebecca! Oh, sweetheart, I'm so glad you're here." I sat down beside her and took her hand. It was small and papery, but her grip was still strong. "How are you feeling?" I asked. "Oh, I'm fine. Old, but fine," she smiled. "Maria tells me you've been busy." "Yeah, work has been, complicated." She studied my face with those sharp eyes. Even with the dementia, she could still read me better than anyone. "Something's wrong," she said. "What is it?" I hadn't planned to tell her. I thought I'd protect her from all of this. But sitting there, holding her hand, I found myself talking. I told her everything. The withdrawals, the police, the forged signatures, the confrontation with my mother, all of it. She listened without interrupting. When she finished, she was quiet for a long moment. "I'm sorry, Grandma," I said, tears finally spilling over. "I'm sorry I let this happen. I should have been more careful. I should have protected your accounts better." "Stop that." Her voice was firm, stronger than I'd heard it in months. "This isn't your fault, Rebecca. None of it. But the money is just money. I'm more worried about you." She squeezed my hand. "What your mother did, that's not right. That's not okay. She says she never loved you, that you always loved me more." Grandma sighed. She looked out the window again, her expression sad. "I did love Linda. I do love her. But she's right that it was complicated. She was always so angry, even as a child, always comparing herself to other people, always keeping score." She paused. "I tried, Rebecca. I really tried. But nothing I did was ever enough for her. And after a while, I got tired. I pulled back. Maybe that was wrong of me. She's been carrying that for years. I know. And I'm sorry for my part in it. But Rebecca, listen to me." She turned back to me, her eyes intense. "Her pain doesn't justify what she did to you. You understand that, right? You can feel sorry for someone and still hold them accountable." I nodded slowly. "You're a good girl. You always have been. Kind and honest and true. Don't let her make you doubt that. Don't let her turn you into something you're not." "What should I do?" "Tell the truth. Always tell the truth. Even when it's hard. Even when it costs you something." She patted my hand. "The truth is the only thing that sets you free, sweetheart." I stayed with her for 2 more hours. We didn't talk about my mother again. We just sat together, watching the birds, holding hands. It was peaceful. The most peaceful I had felt in weeks. When I left, Maria walked me to the door.
"She really does have good days and bad days," Maria said. "But on the good days, she's still herself, still wise." "I know," I said. "Thank you for taking care of her. It's my job, but honestly, it's also my pleasure. She's a special lady." I drove home as the sun was setting, my grandmother's words echoing in my mind. Tell the truth, the only thing that sets you free. Over the next 2 weeks, the investigation continued. Detective Morrison called me with updates. They'd analyzed the handwriting on the withdrawal slips and compared it to samples from both me and my mother. The conclusion was inconclusive. The signatures could have been written by either of us or by someone else entirely who'd practiced carefully, but the security footage was more helpful. When they looked closely, frame by frame, at the woman who'd made the withdrawals, they found small details. a birthmark on her left hand, a specific way of walking, favoring the right leg slightly. My mother had both of those things. I didn't. It wasn't definitive proof, but it was something. They also pulled my mother's financial records. She didn't need the money. I'd been right about that. Her mortgage was paid off, her credit cards current. But they found something else. 2 years ago, she'd been passed over for a promotion at the hospital, a position she'd been working toward for 5 years. The job had gone to someone younger, someone the hospital administration thought had more potential. Around the same time, my grandmother had updated her will, making me the primary beneficiary. Detective Morrison thought the two events together had triggered something in my mother, a sense of being overlooked, undervalued, replaced. People don't usually snap suddenly, he told me. It's usually a buildup, years of resentment, then a triggering event. So what happens now? I asked. We're building a case. It's circumstantial mostly, but it's adding up. The practice signatures from her home, the security footage, her motive, her opportunity, the phone call where she threatened you. He paused. The DA is reviewing everything. They'll decide whether to file charges. And if they do, then it goes to court. She'll have a lawyer. It'll be a process. I thanked him and hung up. That night, my mother called me again. I heard the police took my financial records, she said. No greeting, just accusation. I didn't ask them to do that. You started this, Rebecca. You made them look at me. You started this when you forged my signature. Silence. Are you really going to do this? She asked quietly. Are you really going to send your own mother to jail? The question hurt. Even after everything, it hurt. I'm not sending you anywhere, I said. You made choices. You're dealing with consequences. That's not on me. I'm your mother. And I'm your daughter, but you didn't care about that when you framed me. I was angry. I wasn't thinking clearly. You planned this for 2 years. You thought about it plenty. Another silence. If I go to jail, she said, it'll destroy what's left of this family. Your grandmother will be heartbroken. You'll be alone. Is that what you want? No, I said honestly. I don't want any of this. I wanted a normal family. I wanted a mother who loved me. But I don't get to choose what you did. I only get to choose how I respond. By destroying me. By telling the truth. She hung up without another word. 3 weeks after I'd first gone to the police with the practice signatures, Detective Morrison called me in one more time. The DA has decided to file charges against your mother, fraud, forgery, and attempted theft. She'll be arraigned next week. My stomach dropped. What does that mean for her? If convicted, she could face jail time or probation and restitution, depending on the judge and her lawyer. It's hard to say. And what about me? Am I cleared?
My mother pleaded guilty 6 months later. Her lawyer worked out a deal with the DA. No jail time, but 3 years probation, community service, and full restitution of the $8,000 to my grandmother's account. She also had to attend court-mandated therapy. I wasn't there for the hearing. I didn't want to be. Sarah went with me to get coffee instead, and we sat by the window watching people walk by, living their normal lives. How do you feel? Sarah asked. I thought about it. Sad, relieved, tired, all of it at once. That's fair. I keep waiting to feel angry, I said. Really angry. But I just feel empty where she used to be. Maybe that's grief, Sarah said gently. You lost your mother. Not to death, but to her choices. That's still a loss. She was right. I was grieving, not for who my mother was, but for who I'd always hoped she could be. I never spoke to my mother again after that last phone call. She didn't reach out, and I didn't either. We existed in the same town, worked in the same hospital, but our lives never touched. I'd see her sometimes in the parking lot or in a hallway, and we'd look away from each other. Strangers who used to be family. I thought it would hurt more than it did, but mostly it just felt quiet. My grandmother's health continued to decline. The dementia progressed. She had fewer and fewer good days, but I kept visiting. Every Sunday, and most weekdays too, I'd sit with her, hold her hand, tell her about my week, even when she didn't understand. Maria told me it mattered even on the bad days, that she could feel the love even when she couldn't recognize my face. I hoped that was true. Grandma Rose passed away quietly in her sleep 8 months after my mother's sentencing. She was 92. I was with her that day. I'd stopped by after my shift, and she'd been sleeping peacefully. I sat beside her bed, holding her hand, and at some point her breathing just stopped. It was gentle. No struggle. No pain. Just a soft exhale, and she was gone. I sat there for a long time afterward, still holding her hand, feeling the warmth slowly leave her skin, and I told her thank you for raising me, for loving me, for teaching me that the truth matters more than comfort, for showing me what real love looks like. The funeral was small. Some of her friends from church, a few neighbors. Maria came and cried more than anyone. Sarah stood beside me, a steady presence. My mother came too. She sat in the back. We didn't speak. We didn't even make eye contact. After the service, she left before anyone could approach her. I inherited everything, just like she'd said I would. The house, the savings, what was left of it after years of care expenses, some jewelry, boxes of old photographs. I didn't feel victorious about it. I would have given all of it back for one more conversation with my grandmother on a good day. But I was grateful. Grateful she had trusted me. Grateful I'd proven worthy of that trust. I sold Grandma's house and used some of the money to pay off my student loans. The rest I put in savings. Simple. Practical. What she would have wanted. It's been 2 years now since all of this happened. I still work at the hospital. I still live in my small apartment. I still volunteer at the animal shelter on weekends. My life looks almost the same from the outside, but I'm different. I don't try to earn love anymore. I don't bend myself into shapes to fit other people's expectations. I say no when I need to. I walk away from things that hurt me, even when it's hard. I learned that you can love someone and still protect yourself from them. That family is supposed to be safe, but when it's not, it's okay to step back. That the truth, even when it costs you everything, is worth more than a comfortable lie. Sometimes I think about my mother. I wonder if the therapy helped, if she ever understood why what she did was so wrong, if she thinks about me at all. I don't hate her. I thought I would, but I don't. Hate takes energy I don't want to spend. Instead, I just feel sorry for her. Sorry that she carried so much resentment that it poisoned everything good in her life. Sorry that she couldn't see love when it was offered because she was too busy keeping score. I hope she finds peace someday. I really do. But her peace isn't my responsibility anymore. I've built a new kind of family now. Sarah and some other friends from work, the community at the animal shelter, my neighbor, Mrs. Chen, who brings me soup when I work late shifts, people who choose to be in my life and who I choose in return. It's smaller than what I had before, quieter, but it's real. And that's what I learned through all of this, I think, that real love doesn't keep score. It doesn't build traps or make you prove yourself over and over. It doesn't punish you for existing. Real love is steady. It's safe. It's someone holding your hand while you grieve, or bringing you soup, or believing you when you say you didn't do it. It's my grandmother saying, "I trust you, sweetheart," and meaning it. It's me learning to trust myself. I keep a photograph of Grandma Rose on my nightstand. It's from years ago, before the dementia. She's in her garden, smiling at the camera, dirt on her hands and joy in her eyes. Sometimes when I'm having a hard day, I look at that picture and I remember what she told me. Tell the truth even when it's hard, even when it costs you something. I did, and it did cost me. It cost me my mother. It cost me the fantasy of the family I had always wanted. But it gave me something. It gave me myself back. And in the end, that was worth everything.